Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Interlocking Loops Flosstube video. It's Sunday, October 17th, 2021. I've got a lot of energy. I've been doing a lot of crafty things. Here we go. Let's check it all out. This video is a lot about crafting and my creative pursuits. I'm your host, Angela, and let's talk about something I finished. I started and finished since we talked last. I do have the windows open. It's a beautiful day outside. I think it's like 72 degrees. Absolutely beautiful weather. So if you hear a little bit of that noise, we're going to have to live with that. All right, Stitching with the Housewives has a free pattern Priscilla does on her blog. And it's blessed. I stitched it up. I've had it printed off for quite some time. But that was a cute, fun stitch. I love this time of year working with sunflowers. I know sunflowers are fading at this point, but I still really like to stitch them. Stitched on 14 count Aida, chalkboard black, and primarily Aida threads. I did use Black Coffee and Queen Bee of Classic Colorworks. So they're hard to maybe tell, but I have a variety of different colors kind of all together that they tend to pick and that I tend to like both. A lot of it's DMC conversions, but that works for me. So that's finished. Another thing that I've been working on, I think I talked some about this last time, is by the Blue Flower. It's the Acorns Pattern. And it's stitched on 16 count Aida, 2 flosses over 1. And it's ivory Aida. Oh, and this is adorable. So let me show you the pattern first. The picture, rather. The acorns, the little squirrels, I just love it. And the saying, which I've heard this before, the creation of 1,000 forests in a single acorn. So I'm still working on the border. It's one of those things I just stitch a little on it every weekend. Check out those cute little squirrels. I think I like squirrels the best in this rather than tearing up things outside. But it's coming along really well. So I'm very happy with that. I look forward, after I bought that, I knew I wanted to stitch it this fall. And I'm having the opportunity to do that. So that's great also. Another stitch from the summer that I'm still working a little bit on. I should have it finished, although I may not even show it next time. We'll just see. Is Flea Market Flowers by Lori Holt. And you can stitch this as one big piece, but I'm stitching it in sections. So this section here is what I'm stitching. And she has some beautiful DMC colors for that, and that's what got me, are the beautiful colors. So look at all those pretty colors. Is that not gorgeous or what? So I've got them on homemade thread drops. So let's look at what I've been working on. It still has, I believe, the needle in it. I'm working on the leaves. And then I have the middle of the sunflower to go, and then I'll have just a little bit of the border to do. And this is also on 16 count ivory Aida, 2 threads over 1. So I have this border here to go. I have some leaves that go down the bottom of this flower, and then the center of the sunflower to do. And then, since I plan on making several smalls, making them as pillows, then I'll be able to have this section done, and I plan on picking it up next spring and doing a couple other ones as well. I've also considered getting some of the 10 count Aida, using I think 4 flosses for that over 1, and doing a couple of the flowers just real big, and I think that would look nice as a grouping together. So I'm making a little bit of headway. I've noticed as I've gotten a little bit older that I really enjoy the experience of the project as much as actually getting something done. So I'm just enjoying working on these and having a great time with that, even though none of them are getting real close to being finished. One other thing I've worked on a little bit, and I did see someone on Facebook have one of these finished. It's by Priscilla and Chelsea, the Housewives of Cross Stitch. One that they put out last fall. It's Hello Fall, What's in My Cup Fall series. And I have a winter one of this little fox too, which is also adorable. Done in fall colors. And my progress on that is also with 14 count chalkboard black Ada. But it shows up really nice on the chalkboard black. Most of these are the called for colors, so hopefully by the next time we talk, I'll have it finished. But these are fairly small patterns, fairly quick patterns, and they're really enjoyable. The subject matter is so cute. They have such adorable patterns. So those are things. I have a stitchy spot where I like to sit in, a couple of them actually, but I have a rocking chair beside it, and in the seat of the rocking chair, all my patterns and from knitting, extra yarn, to the sock project bags, all of it get piled in that rocking chair, and no one really ever sits in it, but it makes a nice holding spot, and the cats stay out of it because I do have 2 cats, and one pumpkin, as we've had interfere with some of our episodes before, does like to get into everything, so at least keeping it in the rocking chair keeps him out of it. I did make a purchase from Kitten Stitcher, some Blackbird Designs patterns that were re-released, Apple Orchard. I thought that was adorable. And then Violet's Blue. Although I have half a thought to maybe changing the exact color, but these violet flowers drew me in, this border. I think I'd want the house to be a little darker as well. And the last one, Honeysuckle Manor. Honeysuckle Manor Samplers and Projects in Vintage Style by Blackbird Designs. So there are several different projects in here. They demonstrate how to finish them, the threads. But I just love this house the most. Can you imagine that kind of a burgundy and a wine or dark pink? Just like that in real life. It's never as good in print as it is in real life. So I haven't seen it finished in real life, but I think that would be stunning. So those are my cross stitch purchases. I haven't done a lot of purchasing because I've had a lot of energy in a lot of creative areas, and they all have to have some attention. Let's talk about knitting for a minute or two. The socks I believe I was working on the last time we talked are from the Cozy Knitter, and it's from Canada, thecozyknitter.com. And her Bliss base, which is a fingering weight, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And here they are finished. So they're adorable. I love self-striping socks. They practically knit themselves. I did these with Afterthought heels. What I did is I start at the top. It's a knit to purl to. Come all the way down. Put in waste yarn. Then I continued going down the foot. Okay. Then I go back, and with a tutorial from the Knit Girls, from Lala, it's on YouTube. She shows you how to go ahead and do this Afterthought heel. So I'm working one end of the yarn, then I take the other end of the yarn and make the heel so that I don't disrupt the stripes on the front. I don't do that every time, but I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. And to me it looked like stuff from the garden. And then I did the toe. So I have both of those done. I prefer to do top down. I've done so many top down socks that I don't really have to think about it anymore. I know the pattern by heart. I started adding a few more stitches and the circumference from what I used to have, but I like them. They're on US ones. I believe that's a 2.25 millimeter needle, and I use DPNs. So those are finished. Then, because I can't ever have empty sock needles, I started another pair of socks. This is from Mustache Yarns and her Campfire base, and this is part of her Perfect Self-Striping Sock Must Match Skeins. It's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon blend, and so it comes with 2 skeins exactly the same for people that want their 2 socks exactly the same, and you just start working with one of them finish it, then you start with the second one to make your second sock exactly the same as the first. And I'll show you how far I've been able to get on these. These are on DPNs as well, US ones. And isn't that pretty? Can you see that? That's more or less kind of, doesn't that look like s'mores to you on a campfire? So there are micro stripes here. So actually, if we talk about it from where I started, from the top down, ribbing, knit 2, purl 2 ribbing, and then the pattern of the sock starts. So I have most of the leg done. I just haven't quite been able to decide how long to make the leg before I start and do the heel, which is what I usually do with a heel flap and gusset, and then go on down the foot and finish, and then I can start the next sock. It's okay with me if my hand knit socks don't look identical, but I happen to love her yarn dyeing job, so I'm happy to have that opportunity as well. So those are coming along well. And then another thing that I've cast on since we talked last is a sweater. And I've been wanting to make this particular pattern. It's the GG by Devin Ventry, otherwise known as Knitting McPurley. And you can find her pattern on, I think on Ravelry, but also on knittingmcpurley.com. And it's the GG cardigan. I'll show you a picture. Can you see that okay? So it doesn't have long sleeves. It has short sleeves. It has 3 buttons at the top and a stand-up collar. It has a couple of pockets. I don't know that I'm going to make the pockets. But then when I try to buy yarn that I think may ever be a sweater, I try to make enough for a sweater that's either a little bit longer or that also has long sleeves. So then the challenge is when I see something like this, does not have long sleeves, I have a conflict. Do I use most of the yarn then and not all the yarn? How do I feel about that? Which yarn? In the end, I picked some Madeline Tosh yarns that I've had for a couple of years now in the citrus colorway. It's not exactly a pumpkin for the season, but it's a great orange. It's in her Tosh DK base. That's 100% superwash merino. DK weight 225 yards. Let me show you the citrus colorway. It makes my heart sing. Maybe it's a little bit more of a summer color, but I don't wear sweaters in the summer, and I won't be wearing this one in the summer either. This is the color. Is that not gorgeous? It's bright orangey. Citrus it's aptly named. So you knit from the top down, and I have sleeve stitches on holders. That's this funky yarn here, and I'm just knitting back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So I'm probably from here to about bust now on the sweater. I'm hoping over the next week to maybe get more of the length done, and then I'm not sure if she has you do the button band and the collar and the sleeves, what order those go in the pattern yet. But I just love that color. So I have it so far in a actual bag that's going to be way too small for the whole thing. But it's from Walleye and Wool, and I believe they're on Etsy. That's where I found them. And they don't have any more of these bags, but it is a really nicely made bag. And the orange of the little foxes on here match the orange in the yarn. So I had to just start it with this bag. And it'll make 2 skeins fit in it, as well as the project right now. But that's about all that will fit in there. So I may have to see if I can find some more orange fabric and make a bag for it to fit in. It just is lovely. Alright, so let's talk about other crafty pursuits I've been excited about, and what's also taken part of my crafty time. Now, those of you know, one of my goals for this year was to do a string quilt or jelly roll quilt. Missouri Star Quilt Company has YouTube videos on how to make these jelly roll race quilts. They have jelly roll race 1, 2, and 3. I did the second one that they put out, and it uses a jelly roll. Standard, I think it's 42 This one doesn't say on the outside. I think it's 42 strips in a jelly roll. And then I used mini charm squares that are 2.5 by 2.5, and I used a white. And the final product, well, the almost final product, is behind me. I don't know how much of that you can see, but it's in Christmas colors. The actual fabric is by Moda, and it's To Be Jolly fabric. I've had it at least a year, so I don't know that you can find it anymore. But I just really like it. I wanted to start with something that would look like Christmas. It may take me that long to actually get the whole thing finished. One problem at a time. So this has everything from Christmas ornaments to Christmas plaid to candy canes to some geometric, and this loopy fabric is really pretty. So if you're a very beginning quilter, like I consider myself to be, that may be something you want to try too. It really wasn't too hard at all. My plan eventually is to do a border that's also in the same white around it, and then to do a binding that's colored in Christmas color. But I haven't quite made up my mind how I'm going to do that, or the fabric purchased at all. But in the months to come, I'll get that stuff, and then hopefully I can get all that finished, and maybe I can get it sent off, and perhaps it'll be done by the end of the year. We'll just see. But it's all in the making of the project. So it doesn't take a whole lot of, as long as you can sew a straight stitch, straight seam, that's really all it takes. And that's about where I'm at. I did make that on my Singer 401, one of those vintage sewing machines I rescued not that long ago, earlier this year, and she worked like a charm, so I'm very happy with that. I also have a new pattern that I printed off on something else that I'm not sure I'm ready to dive in and make, but at some point I do want to make. I do try to keep all my patterns in a binder. In theory, I'll keep them in better shape and be able to find them again when it comes time to do that. The Gingham Quilt and Pillowcase by Erica Made. Okay, so this is Erica Arndt. She's a multi-crafter too. She does a lot of quilting. She does spinning with a spinning wheel. She does knitting. Lots of different things she likes. And so I saw this. She had a YouTube video on how to make a smaller size of the gingham quilt. And the pattern, let's see, it goes from, she's got a baby size 45 inch by 55 inch, a twin size 65 by 95, a queen size 100 inches by 80 inches, king size 105 by 105 inches, as well as a gingham pillow, and it tells you how to do that. So I think at some point, and it still is, it's straight lines. I worry about triangles. I realize it's a straight line, but I haven't figured out how you do those, and I haven't tried yet either. So, but I think this would be beautiful too, and either in a Christmas red or a nice green. My heart, I love blue, so it may be that blue and whites or blue and creams would be good. And it would go well with my living room where I might have it. For the most part, I'm looking at lap size to just smaller than a twin size, which I think this one will be just, this is smaller than a twin size, this jelly roll quilt, but it's a generous lap size, and I think that's a great place to start, kind of get your feet wet a little bit with the quilting. So I did go to the quilt store just yesterday. They were having a sale. Oh my, gets me every time. So I did find, I stand there and I had no specific, what I specifically wanted. Okay. Well, we know that always changes once you look around. And Autumn is in the Air by Hoffman. Okay, so let's just take a peek at this fabric. This is the fabric that everything else went around. So it's got your nice yellows, it has your oranges, it has your bits of blue and little bits of green. I just love all those colors. So then with that, I tried to find some other fabrics I thought would go well with it. This has a very fine print. I don't think you're really going to be able to see the print on there, but it's an ivory with a white print. It looks a little bit like a fern. This is another ivory, and it's hard to tell, but it's a little bit like a plant with a little bit of a vine with yellow, the orange and blue. Looks like tiny, tiny berries on it that would go. Then we have this pretty blue to bring out some of the blue. So, no, I just love the blue. Then I have this one that's kind of a little bit of brown, but kind of a burnt yellow almost, or mustard, darker mustard color. And then green. So I'll be able to make a small quilt from this. And I plan on doing maybe like 5-inch squares. And if I can get everything organized in my hands at one time, which may or may not happen, I'll try to hold them all up at once. So you can kind of get an idea. I don't know how well you can kind of see that, but I think that's going to be pretty. So maybe this time next year I'll be making a fall quilt. That sounds wonderful. All right, the best part is they have a gift card kind of thing going on at the shop. There was already 20% off of the sale, last day of the sale. But then with purchases, they have kind of a card that you spend so much, you get so much off. I was actually able to get the 20% off, and then another $25 off of that even. It didn't cost me near as much as usual. Awesome. I did want to talk about one last thing. I think I've talked before that I live on a farm and have livestock and sheep and goats both. And our most recent batch of farm yarn is in the shop. And the shop is Ridgedale Farms on Etsy. And that's RIDGEDALEFARMS. Try to search me there. So we have Columbia and Rambouillet sheep that are naturally colored. Some are plain, I guess what you say, white. Some are black. A lot are spotted. So with that, I'll kind of show you. All the new yarn is DK weight. That's what I had the mill produce for me. This time it does vary. I'll see if I can hold it so you can get an idea of all the different colors from darkest to lightest. All those pretty colors. So this one, even though it's genetically a black sheep, it looks to the eye as a very, very dark brown. And then there's a little bit lighter brown, a little bit lighter brown, a fairly light brown, almost a taupe color, and then more of the white. This is a creamier color. It's not stark white at all. That's kind of more what it looks like. Let me see if I can find something here that's white to hold it up against. Yeah, I know I had something to hold my cross stitch up with. Here we go. So this is actually white. This is white. This is the kind of the cream of it. So it's much warmer than white. So if you want to check out the shop, if there's any DK weight yarn you might be needing to do any projects with, check out the Ridgedale Farms shop. And I hope you have as much crafty energy as I do. The weather's beautiful. It's great to get a whole lot of stuff done. I still hope to plant some spring flower bulbs yet today or the next couple days while it's nice outside before they say it's going to get cooler again. But we did have some rain and things have greened up a little bit, which is good all the way around. I have been doing some cleaning, reorganizing since I have all this extra energy, it seems like. Now that it's not so hot outside, I've been cleaning up the bathrooms and doing a deep clean on the kitchen, taking everything off trying to get it all cleaned up and reorganizing where everything's at. I do that probably once a year where I reorganize everything. And it takes me a little bit to remember where I put stuff, but in the end, it seems to work out okay. But a little bit of change is good. All right. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope the weather is good where you are. And until next time, happy crafting. Bye-bye.